You've been told the robot army is a military project, built for foreign battlefields, pointed at foreign threats. That's the story every government is selling. But the same companies building the armed versions are selling the unarmed ones to your local police department. And the only difference between the two is a software update. In 2016, Boston Dynamics posted a video of a robot quadruped named Spot. It opened doors, it climbed stairs, it got kicked and recovered. The internet thought it was hilarious. Comment sections filled with jokes about Skynet and Black Mirror and poor robot. It was toy-like, novel, harmless, American, Western, safe. That was 10 years ago. Now they're everywhere, and they're not all Chinese. In November 2024, a photograph surfaced. A Boston Dynamics Spot unit deployed by the U.S. Secret Service patrolling the grounds of Mar-a-Lago ahead of a presidential visit. 4 legs, no face, sensors where eyes would be. Nobody issued a press release. The image just appeared, circulated briefly, and then the news cycle moved on. The U.S. Air Force had already deployed Ghost Robotics Vision 60 units at Tyndall and Nellis Air Force bases for perimeter security. More than 60 bomb squads and SWAT teams across the U.S. and Canada now use Spot. New York City tried deploying one in the subway system. The public backlash was so intense they had to pull it. But the procurement didn't stop. It just moved somewhere less visible. That's when things got strange. Because this isn't a China story. This is a global story. And every major power is building the same thing. In March 2026, Chinese state media aired footage of what they call the Wolf Pack. Quadruped drones operating in coordinated swarms, carrying machine guns, grenade launchers, and command units that process targeting data for the entire group. They move at 15 kilometers per hour. They carry 25 kilograms of payload. They're designed for urban combat. Street by street, building by building, room by room. These aren't prototypes. They're operational. But China isn't alone in this race, not even close. The United States has armed its own Ghost Robotics Vision 60 platform. The Army unveiled plans to mount next-generation weaponry on the quadruped as early as 2023. At least one armed Ghost Robotics unit was deployed to the Middle East for counter-drone testing. The company's Vision 60 is already in use by the US, the UK, and Japan. Ghost Robotics recently added a manipulator arm to the platform. An arm, not a sensor, not a camera, an arm. The kind of arm that can hold things. The kind of arm that can be swapped out. Turkey has developed its own domestic quadruped drone program, set to join the military inventory by early 2026, and Turkey may already hold a darker distinction. In 2021, a Kargu-2 autonomous drone may have attacked a human target without explicit human orders during a conflict in Libya. If confirmed, it would be the first time in history a machine decided to kill on its own. Turkey didn't issue a press release for that either. Japan deployed quadruped drones during an airborne assault drill in their annual New Year exercise. Taiwan is planning to buy hundreds of them for military use, guarding outlying islands, navigating narrow streets during patrol and combat missions. South Korea is moving to adopt AI and robotic systems in combat support units. India is investing in autonomous ground vehicles. The market for autonomous weapon systems is estimated at $14.8 billion in 2025 and projected to reach $35.6 billion by the early 2030s. Ukraine is contracting 25,000 unmanned ground vehicles in the first half of 2026, more than double their 2025 total. The BBC reported that the battlefield in Ukraine could soon feature more robots than human soldiers. Russia is deploying mass combat robots of its own. Both sides in that war are locked in an autonomous drone race, each leveraging AI to identify and strike targets faster than human decision-making allows. Israel has gone further than anyone. In Gaza, the IDF integrated 2 AI targeting systems, Lavender and Habzora, also called the Gospel. Lavender generated a database that at one point identified 37,000 potential human targets, predominantly military-aged males who fit a pattern. The Gospel selected buildings and infrastructure to strike. A human analyst could approve each target in as little as 20 seconds. That's not oversight. That's a rubber stamp on an algorithm's decision. And the results speak for themselves. Classified Israeli military data from May 2025 revealed that only 17% of the 53,000 Palestinians killed in Gaza were confirmed combatants. 83% were not. That's what happens when a machine picks the target and a human signs off without checking. But here's the first lie. All of this, every single system I just described, is framed as military. Foreign battlefields, foreign enemies, foreign wars. That's the story every government tells. These are weapons for war, for defense, for deterrence, for protecting the homeland from external threats. That's when people stop treating it like a joke, because the police version is already here. In Shenzhen, AI-powered humanoid robots direct traffic and patrol business districts. In Zhejiang, robotic police units were deployed for Mayday crowd control just this month. In Mexico, quadruped drones will support police operations during the 2026 FIFA World Cup, scouting threats, entering dangerous areas, streaming live video to security forces. In Nottinghamshire, England, police tested a quadruped drone for potential nationwide rollout by 2026. In the United States, SPOT units handle armed standoffs, investigate drug labs, and patrol data center perimeters covering areas the size of hundreds of football fields. The companies are careful about framing. Boston Dynamics says SPOT is for inspection and safety. Ghost Robotics says Vision 60 is for security and reconnaissance. The marketing shows robots in high-vis jackets, assisting officers, keeping people safe. Friendly helpers. Public servants. Man's new best friend. But here's the second lie. In May 2025, the International Human Rights Clinic at Harvard Law School and Human Rights Watch published a 61-page report. Its title, A Hazard to Human Rights, Autonomous Weapons Systems and Digital Decision-Making. The report's central finding was not about war. It was about what happens after war. What happens during peace. What happens when the same autonomous systems designed for foreign battlefields are turned inward. Quote, the use of autonomous weapons systems will not be limited to war, but will extend to law enforcement operations, border control, and other circumstances, raising serious concerns under international human rights law. A machine selects a target, a machine applies force, no human in the loop, no human deciding where, when, and against whom force is used. Not on a battlefield, on a street, in a crowd, at a border. The report found these systems would violate the right to life, the right to peaceful assembly, the right to privacy, the right to remedy, the principle of human dignity, and the principle of non-discrimination, because AI systems trained on biased data will disproportionately target the people already targeted by policing systems. And here's where we get to the real story. Because the entire conversation about autonomous weapons has been framed around one question. Will robots replace soldiers on foreign battlefields? That's the debate. That's where the UN panels and the TED Talks and the op-eds are all focused. Over 120 countries have called for a new international treaty. The UN Secretary General and the President of the International Committee of the Red Cross have urged states to act by 2026 to preserve human control over the use of force. In December 2024, the UN General Assembly voted 166-3. The three votes against? Belarus, North Korea, Russia. But that's not the full picture. Because the United States and the United Kingdom are among 12 countries opposing a global ban on autonomous weapons, joined by Australia, Estonia, Israel, Japan, South Korea. Not rogue states, not pariah nations. The most powerful democracies in the world are blocking the treaty that would restrict these systems. America's 2025 National Security Strategy vows to dominate autonomous weapons. Secretary Hegseth issued a memo in January 2026 accelerating that dominance. The UK Ministry of Defence awarded 26 companies contracts to develop AI targeting systems. More than 120 British Army units are now training to operate uncrewed systems. The weapons are being built faster than the laws are being written, and the countries building them are the ones blocking the laws. But it's the wrong question entirely. The right question is, what happens when the social fabric tears? When civil order breaks down? When populations rise up and the state needs to restore control, not in some foreign war zone but in its own cities? Because that's when the robot army stops being theoretical. That's when the assisting officers become the occupying force. That's when the software update gets pushed. A human officer can de-escalate, can read a room, can see that a crowd is scared, not dangerous. A machine sees a heat signature, a movement pattern, a data point. It doesn't negotiate, it doesn't hesitate, it doesn't feel. And when it's deployed on your street, not a battlefield, your street, the distinction between armed and unarmed is a configuration file. The platform is the same, the infrastructure is the same, the manufacturer is the same. The only thing that changes is what the software tells it to do. The wolf pack is operational. Spot is on patrol. The humanoid robots are directing traffic in Shenzhen. Ghost Robotics has an arm now. Mexico is deploying quadruped drones at the World Cup. Nottinghamshire police are testing them for national rollout. Ukraine is ordering 25,000 ground robots. Israel's AI already killed 83% civilians in Gaza. The autonomous weapons market is worth $14.8 billion and doubling. The US and UK are blocking the ban. The infrastructure is built. The normalization is complete. The real conspiracy is the one hiding in plain sight. Not that robots will fight wars. That they'll end them. And then they'll stay. On your streets, outside your buildings, in your cities. Armed or unarmed, the distinction is a software patch. You watched the videos. You laughed at the robot quadruped. You moved on. That's how it works. Almost like the signal was never lost. What do you think? Are these systems really being built for war or for what comes after? Let me know in the comments.